Hi friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Olivia, and if you've never seen my face before, you can consider me your fragrance fairy godmother. So a couple of weeks ago, I had my brother on the channel to test his nose to see if he could spot the difference between some very high-end, pricey niche fragrances and the Dua inspired by version. If you haven't already seen that video, it was a good one, so I'll link it in the cards here. Go watch that and then come back to this video. And because you guys seem to like that video so much, I have teamed up with Dua once again for today's video to bring you a curated list of my picks for some affordable fragrances for spring and summer. So before we get this party started, let me tell you a little bit more about our sponsor for today's video, the Dua brand. The Dua brand is an independent niche fragrance house here in Los Angeles, where I live, that creates fragrances that are inspired by our favorite luxury niche brands. But as we all know, niche fragrances are incredibly expensive and not that accessible to everyone, and we want everyone smelling good this spring and summer, so these come at a much more affordable price. But despite these fragrances being more affordable, I still want them to be incredibly long-lasting because I am garish and I want my fragrance to shout from the rooftops, you know what I'm saying? So all of the fragrances that I'm talking about in today's video are extrait de parfum, meaning that they have a very high concentration of perfume oil. And these are long-lasting because the day after I filmed the video with my brother, my entire studio still smelled like Bergamot 22. I swear I'm never gonna live down the fact that I got that insert incorrect because I've worn that fragrance for years. So mad at myself. So mad. But not only do they just have inspired by fragrances, they also have some house originals, and they have hybrids, tribrids, and quadbrids that I'll be talking about in today's video. Meaning they combine the scent profiles of 2 to 4 different luxury perfumes and put it into one bottle. So that way you don't have to worry about buying multiple and layering at home. They've already done it in one bottle, so you can save a little coin. And just as a visual representation of the price differences, I'm going to be putting the approximate prices of the niche fragrance and the Dua version on screen, so that way you can see the difference for yourself. So before we get this party started, I just want to ask you one question. Have you drank enough water today? What was that? No, you haven't? Okay, so I'm gonna need you to go get some water, get a little snack, sit down and relax, and let's get into these affordable fragrances for spring and summer. So the first fragrance that we're going to be talking about today is inspired by Parfums De Marley Meliora, and this is called Melior. And before I get into describing how this smells, I just want to say that I like that these all have different artworks on the bottle because some of them, they're kind of funky, but this one is very beautiful. Look at that. Look at the flowers, and then it says Melior right on the side. And these also have pressurized atomizers, so they have a really good mist. Look at this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's my perfect mister right there. Something that's going to give you a good amount of product, but it disperses in such a nice little fine mist. So Melior is going to be a great fragrance for spring and summer because this is a fruity floral fragrance. It's going to start off in the beginning with some juicy and tart sweet red berries that smell a little bit like crushed raspberry and strawberry pulp, like a puree, but not in a candied sense, but rather a fresh fruit. And then in the heart, you start to get some florals that are really fresh and nicely balanced. So you're getting a rose that comes off dewy and not too antique, not too dusty, but it's balanced really nicely with some ylang ylang. And that brings in that bit of tropical feel. So you're getting something tart and juicy, and then you're getting a very fresh feminine floral. And then in the base, you're getting a slightly powdery musk that feels very fresh and clean, along with a light vanilla. Don't think something that's super duper creamy and lactonic. It just adds that slight vanillic feel without going too gourmand. This ends up reading on the skin like a fizzy floral champagne sort of scent. It's the perfect amount of natural sweet fruitiness, has a little bit of tartness, but a lot of freshness coming from the florals, and then almost a slight like clean laundry aspect to it. It's very feminine, it is very pretty. It would be perfect for every day, but also would be very good for date night. And the next fragrance is called Elegance in a Bottle, and this is inspired by Creed's Love in White. Love in White is a fragrance that I have had my eye on for so long. Every time we go to the mall, I sneak into Nordstrom and I spray a little bit on because it smells so good, so ethereal. This would be a perfect bridal fragrance, but it's crazy expensive and I'm not trying to pay that, so this is a good alternative. Let me show you the artwork on this bottle. It's like an angel? I don't, is she supposed to be an angel? I don't know. This fragrance is going to be for those of you who don't really like fruits in your fragrance as much. The last one was a very fruity, tart, juicy floral. This is going to be more of a pure floral fragrance that has a very clean and chic, minimalistic sort of feel. And the florals in this are more powdery and subtle and almost have a slightly sort of cosmetic feel. There's iris and magnolia that, although floral, have a bit of a cooling sensation. Imagine you are slipping into your bed on a hot summer's day, but the sheets are cold, like the cold side of the pillow. That's what it reminds me of. But oddly enough, there is the note of rice and sandalwood. So you are also getting something that is both creamy and woody and a little bit starchy. So it does give that clean laundry sort of feel. I don't know, does anyone starch their pants anymore? My mom used to starch her shirts, and I feel like this is a lost art. But this is what this is giving me. And although this is very refined and very elegant, this is something that I would use strictly during the daytime because this doesn't really have that oomph that I'm looking for date night. So I would choose Melior for date night, but then during the day, elegance in a bottle. So if you were looking for a good sheer iris fragrance that doesn't have a baby powder scent to it, this one. The next two I'm talking about are some house originals, and let me tell you, with their house originals, you want to opt for a gourmand fragrance. They do gourmand fragrances so good in their house originals, and they have anything from a sticky chocolate to something fresh and fruity, so they have all the desserts. But because this is a spring and summer themed video, I went with something that I think is a little bit more summertime. One of these is questionable, we'll see. So let's start with Rainbow Sherbet Ice Cream. And look at the little ice cream on it, it's so adorable. Now I chose this fragrance out of pure nostalgia because when I was a kid, I would be babysat by my grandparents, and my grandpa would always eat sherbet in the summertime. Specifically orange sherbet, but I liked the rainbow one, so I went for this because it just reminds me of being a kid and being happy and carefree. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes fragrance doesn't have to be all so serious. I originally picked this out because I was intrigued by the rainbow sherbet and the memories that it was bringing back, but when I actually smelled it, it reminded me of something else. It reminds me of shaved ice during the summer. And did you guys ever have the shaved ice with the condensed milk on top? That's exactly what it smells like. Rainbow Sherbet is super duper tangy, so I thought that this was going to have a ton of acidity to it. And while it does, between the orange juice and the lime juice, this also has a creamed element, and they were able to take a dessert that you think would be so toothachingly sweet on the skin and almost nauseating, and they were able to put some ambroxan and musk and make it into a fragrance. It doesn't just smell gourmand, it has a perfumey quality that makes it wearable. And although it's not listed, I could swear I get some sort of coconut cream or a coconut milk in this. So if you like the scent of shave ice with raspberry and lime and orange juice topped with a little bit of a condensed coconut milk or a condensed milk cream, that's what I'm getting from this, but not toothachingly sweet. It's got a nice musky base. And this next one is debatable if this would be considered a summertime fragrance, but I have been wanting a really good banana scent. There are not a lot of banana perfumes, so this one is Banana and Vanilla Custard Flan. Custard flan is a little bit redundant, isn't it? Because isn't flan custard? I don't know. Now, when I first requested to try this out, I was a little bit hesitant because although I've been really craving a good banana scent, I feel like the reason not a lot of banana scents are done is because they end up smelling super artificial, like Banana Laffy Taffy, which I do like the Banana Laffy Taffies, but I don't want to smell like it. You know what I mean? But I'm happy to report that this does not have an artificial banana yellow scent to it. You know what I mean? In fact, do you know what this smells like? This smells like choco flan. It's flan, but then the bottom layer is chocolate cake. But imagine choco flan that's been soaked in like a brandy or a cognac. It has a booziness to it, and you guys know I love a boozy fragrance. It has a banana that's baked into it. You know what I mean? The banana is not on the forefront whatsoever. It's kind of more in the background, which I appreciate. So Rainbow Sherbet would be your daytime gourmand, and then this one would be your nighttime gourmand. See where I'm going with this? This in high heat, nighttime, Great. Moving on, our next two fragrances are going to be of the hybrid variety. So they're combining two different fragrances in one bottle. So let's start with Caribbean Herbs and Sea Salt. And this is going to be a combination of Virgin Island Water by Creed and Wood Sage and Sea Salt by Jo Malone. I love Wood Sage and Sea Salt. I love that fragrance to death. But I am one of those people that it doesn't last. It really doesn't last on me more than a couple of hours. So I thought the combination of the two would be a little bit more uplifting. And that's what I got out of this. Exactly what I got out of this. Now this right here is a beach vacation in a bottle. This smells like a tropical cocktail that has a salted rim. You're getting lime, you're getting coconut and ginger, you're getting a bunch of citrus, but you're also getting a note of seaweed. But it's not gross and fishy and briny smelling. It just makes it smell like you're sitting by the ocean. And I like that this is a fruity fragrance, but it's not sweet. It's citrusy, aquatic, aromatic, and salty. So if you want something that's not feminine, it's not masculine, it's just bright and uplifting and a little bit sheer and tropical, this would be perfect. I'm sorry, but these names crack me up. This next one is called Imagine the God of Fire! And this is a combination of Imagination by Louis Vuitton and God of Fire. This one is also citrusy and aromatic, but not quite as aquatic as the last one. And I would definitely say that this one is unisex as well, but slightly leans on the more masculine side. So in the beginning, you are getting a bunch of citrus, you're getting that spiciness from ginger, but there's some red berries in this that give it almost a dark, kind of pomegranate syrup sort of feel, but not too sweet. And there's a little bit of cinnamon in this that helps to create that little bit of warm, slight spice. But then you start to get some tea, some black tea, and you guys know, if it comes to boozy notes or tea, baby, that's for me. And whereas the last one feels very fresh and very daytime, once again, we have our nighttime version because this dries down a little bit more dark, a little bit smoky and woody. You're getting some musk, ambroxan, you're getting a guaiac wood that gives it that beautiful, dry, charred sort of feel. So if you like something that's citrusy and aromatic, but you like something that has a little bit of depth and woodiness and a little bit of masculinity in the base, this one. So for daytime, we have this, and for nighttime, we have this. So next up, we have our tribrids, combining 3 different scent profiles in one. It's getting a little risky here, but I think I got some good ones. And this is where we start to get super crazy with the names, because this one is called Electrocuted and Smoked Popped Cherry. What? And this is a combination of all 3 cherry fragrances from Tom Ford combined into one. Electric cherry, lost cherry, and cherry smoke. So this takes the aspect from electric cherry of having that more sheer, less syrupy cherry, because we know that we don't do a cherry on this channel that smells like cough syrup. It drives me nuts. But instead, this one is very juicy. It has that almost fruit punch sort of smell to it. But then from lost cherry, it's taking that slightly powdery almond, musky, and a little bit of vanillic feel. So you start to get something that's juicy in the beginning, and then it transitions into a little bit fluffy and nutty. And then on the dry down is where you start to get that cherry smoke sort of feel. So you're getting that spicy, warm, ambery quality, you're getting a little bit of a leather, and you're getting, once again, a little bit of a charred wood sort of feel. I feel like they took all the best elements of all of the cherry fragrances from Tom Ford and made it into one. So if you can't make up your mind between wanting a summer, juicy, fun cherry, or a powdery cherry, or a leathery, dark, woody cherry, this kind of transitions through all of these scents. But at no point does this read too heavy, because I am a little bit weird about leather fragrances. I don't want to smell like the inside of a car, and I don't want to smell like Robitussin. Thank God this does not. It's gonna sound a little bit weird, but to me this smells like the hybrid between Hawaiian Fruit Punch meets the old school Jergens Cherry Almond Body Lotion and Cherry Punk by Room 1015. It's like if you added all those things together, this. And next we have Scrumptious and Candylicious Fruits of Oud. And this is a combination of sweetie, candy, and fruity oud from Roja Parfum. Now, I will be the first to admit that this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, because this is more of a daring scent profile, and there's some notes in this that not everyone's gonna agree with me. I love them, but not everyone's going to agree with me, so just know this one's a little bit more polarizing. At the heart of it, this is more of an ambery, woody fragrance with some fruits and gourmand notes to be the supporting act. And although there is a hodgepodge of a bunch of different fruits in this, they're hard to pick out from one another. It doesn't smell like just apple or just strawberry, but they just help to sweeten up the composition, which is otherwise quite spicy and warm. I get a lot of saffron, I get a lot of cardamom, I get a lot of cumin, a little bit of leather and oud. That might make you wonder, why did you include it in a spring and summer video? Because that sounds too heavy for spring and summer, right? Right. But the fruits, the rose, the musk, all help to uplift this. So this is specifically for oud lovers who are looking for something that's good for spring and summer. Does that make sense? And I know the question is it a fecal smelling oud? No! We don't do fecal poopy ouds on this channel, so this does not have that animalic sort of feel, but rather has a very dark, spicy, woody feel, a lot of amber, a lot of spice, but then it has some fruits to uplift it. So if you were looking for a good oud fragrance for summer, this would be perfect. And lastly, we are moving on to something that I find a little bit ridiculous, but it's amazing. Quadbrids. 4 fragrances in one bottle. And for this I chose one that's a little bit more feminine and one that's a little bit more masculine. So let's start with the more feminine one, and this is Drowning in 44 Shades of Italian Palm. Palm means apple, by the way. And this is a combination of Ani by Nishane, Vanilla 44 by Le Labo, Italica by Xerjoff, and Apple Brandy by Kilian. So this is listed as a gourmand, and although this is a gourmand, this is not straight edible. This has quite a bit of a woody base. So in the beginning, this one smells like it could be a Turkish dessert, something with caramel and with apple, but that's a little bit spiced with cardamom and spiked with a little bit of brandy maybe? But oddly enough, as this dries down, it smells like a rose apple shisha. There's something smoky, incensey, a little bit woody and earthy about this. So what starts off edible, but more on the spiced baked side, then turns into something woody and dark and mysterious. So this would be a good gourmand fragrance that's going to take you from day to night. And although I say this one is a little bit more feminine, I do think that this one is more on the unisex side. At the end of the day, anyone can wear anything. That's just for context of how you can preface it in your mind. So this last one, I originally got this because I was a little bit curious as to what it would smell like, because it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of different masculine fragrances that are super duper popular, and I thought to myself, there's no way that I'm gonna like this, but I ended up liking it, so I had to put it in, but you're gonna laugh when you hear the combination and the name of this. So this is called Drowning in Bleu de Sauvage Fierce. Do you see where I'm going with this? And this is a combination of Ani by Nishane, Sauvage, the vintage formula, Abercrombie & Fitch, and Bleu de Chanel. This is like combining every guy I ever dated into one Mega X, and at first I was terrified, but it ended up smelling good. This is aromatic and woody, but it has a lot of that traditional blue scent to it. So in the beginning is when you are going to get those tangy, refreshing qualities coming from some mint, some citrus, rosemary, lavender. But then you start to get those more traditionally spicy notes that you get in a lot of masculine fragrances. You're getting a nutmeg, you're getting a black pepper, you're getting a Szechuan pepper, so it adds a little bit of spiciness. But then in the base, you're getting a lot of dry, earthy notes that are going to give you that kind of like tree bark meets tree sap sort of feel, such as oak moss, rosewood, vetiver. So it's kind of that clean, dry hay sort of feel. So I think if you were looking for a clean and fresh aquatic masculine fragrance that could take you into the nighttime with some darker supporting notes, this would actually be a good option. I was surprised. I doubted this one big time. I got it as a joke. I thought it was a hee hee ha ha. Like, you know, they took all the good elements from fragrances that have done traditionally very well over the years and just handpicked the good stuff and put it together. That's a smart idea. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video going through a bunch of different fragrances of different scent profiles that I thought would be great for spring and summer. I tried to make this list super varied, having some floral fragrances, some fruity fragrances, some woody fragrances, because during the summer we tend to get marketed the same old same coconut fragrances over and over, and the world is our oyster, okay? We have options, and we have options that are long lasting and will not break the budget. So if you want more information about Dua, I'm going to put it in the description box down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and catch me next week. I will be here 10 a.m. PST. And until then, take care of yourselves, my friends.